We're going to be describing some distributions. I'm just going to give you a basic overview in this. We are going to revisit this with more detail after we learn about measures of center and spread and measures of position, which is going to allow us to have a few more pieces of information that we can use to inform our decision about the shape of a distribution. Okay, so we have three basic shapes that a distribution could be. It can be symmetric, it can be skewed right, it can be skewed left, and then it can also be uniform. And we'll talk about what that looks like in just a moment. All right, so this one here, this stem and leaf plot that we did earlier, this definitely is an example of something that looks skewed to the left. Okay, I'm going to create a histogram for this data that will hopefully illustrate that a little bit better. I'm going to insert histogram. I'm definitely going to want more than 2 classes here. So again, I'm just going to double click on the bar and I just want some more bins. All right, so this is starting to look a little bit better. Maybe I went a little too far there. This is good. So if I can draw an overarching shape here, that's going to look like this, where we have a tail, sort of the data is tailing off to the right, off to the left, then that's what we call skewed left. All right. Over here we have our at-bats. Now this looks a little bit more like it's tailing off to the right. So this is probably actually closer to symmetric, but it does look a little skewed right, so I would take either answer as correct. And once we have more information, like what the mean looks like in the standard deviation or the median, we can start to look at other context clues to help us with that. And that's also why I like to play around with the number of bins that these histograms have. This one, to me, and sorry, I'm trying to draw with the mouse here, looks pretty symmetric. And I know that this is a little bit higher over here than it is over here, but overall this data is looking pretty symmetric. There's not a ton of data off of one side more than the other. And so this would be symmetric. Now uniform, to show you what uniform data looks like, I don't think I'm drawing. Oh no, I'm still drawing. I don't want to draw anymore. Okay. I can grab some data here. I pretended that we had rolled a die 100 times and I collected the data from that. So I just simulated that, and if you want to look at this, the formulas that I used here to do that, that's fine, but I have my roll number and then I have the value on the die. And if we want to look at this distribution, I can first, I can just highlight this data here. I just want to highlight the first 100. Sometimes when you highlight the whole column, Excel thinks that the values below that are empty in that column are also data points, and then it makes the histogram wrong. I'm going to go to Insert, and I'm going to create a histogram. Now this doesn't look all that uniform. If I refresh my data, which should update the histogram, you can start to see this one especially right here. This one looks very uniform, and what we mean by uniform is that it's pretty much straight across. Okay, there's no discernible peak or drop. And I know sometimes it doesn't look like that because this is randomly created, but for the most part, I think if I stuck to 5 bins, this would happen more. Let's stick with 5 bins. Actually, let's stick with 6 bins since there's 6 numbers that you could have, but that's not doing it correctly. Let's do a bin width of 1. Here we go. And then you can see it's including 2, so this one's always going to be bigger. So we're not going to, don't worry about it too much, but that's uniform is straight across. So that's what we do when we're describing a distribution. We have these basic shapes: symmetric, skewed right, skewed left, uniform. And we'll talk more about this and how we can make better decisions about which type of distribution we're looking at in future videos.